I think I was in the right place at the right time for everything I did. By being on Radio 1 when I was 20, I remain Radio 1's youngest ever DJ. Certainly to be on the afternoon show covering Steve Wright when I'd never done a radio show before in my life. So I was definitely right place, right time. And I think that leads you to get a chance. I went to Radio Luxembourg after that, spent a couple of weeks there, then got my own show on Radio 1, came back and did that for nearly a year, and then went from there to more local stations. The opening of Radio Mercury in Surrey, Sussex. Sorry, in Sussex. Yeah, both counties. Either way, it was local radio, and I got a chance to sort of work more at my art by being on every day, and I really enjoyed that. That was probably more beneficial to me than being on Radio 1 once a week at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning, where you just went on and handed over to Tony Blackburn, and it was all very exciting. And then you hosted Top of the Pops the next week, and then it was all a bit too much really for me at my age. So I needed to get experience. So the local radio thing helped me, and that eventually got me from there to Chiltern Radio, which got me to Capital, is where I got noticed. So that's where I think, came into my own. So I think I've just been moving from one to another, and I ended up, doing shows on Smooth a few years ago. So I kind of, gone poppy, and then a bit less poppy, and then less poppy. I got an audition for this new kids TV show. They sent me a VHS of the American version with a host called J.D. Roth, and it was called Funhouse, and it was sort of messy games and go-karts and cheerleaders, and just looked really bright and everything that I was about on the radio. It kind of summed up the weekend, and I went for a trial as such with them, and they sent me along and John Leslie in Scotland, in Glasgow. And apparently the reason I got the job was because, one, I wasn't Scottish, and they thought having a Scottish guy on a national ITV show would be a bit unfair if Scottish TV were making it. And two, he was so tall that the twins who I ended up working with were just belittled by him, because he's about 6'7", I think. So luckily I got that job, and it was probably the best job I ever had, along with my Capital Radio job, because it was a great sort of career that to this day people still remember me for. And I do Funhouse shows. I even work with the twins and do corporates with the girls, and we go out together, and they shake their pom-poms to this day. Our boss at the time at Capital Radio, Richard Park, said, do you want to make some pop records? You do the evening show. You're the guys who all the kids listen to when they're doing their homework, and they stand outside the radio station waiting to meet you and get your autograph and have pictures with you. So we should make some pop records, but we'll do it for charity, not for you. So we said, okay, that's fine. So at the time, Capital Radio had the Help a London Child charity, and Richard Park made a call to Pete Waterman, because we were playing a lot of their records at the time. We'd just broken Rick Astley and made him famous. We were the first people to play Never Gonna Give You Up, and we were playing all the Stock Aitken Waterman records that were huge hits at the time. We'd kind of made Kylie and Jason famous as well. So he said, yeah, come on in, we'll just make a record. We'll choose a cover version of an old song, and we'll blast it out. So we went in, and in about 20 minutes we made Let's All Chant, which got to number 11 in the charts. But then again, we could play our own records on the radio, and we could tell all the kids listening, hey, go and buy our record, it's for charity, mate. And they did. And then the following year, we did Haven't Stopped Dancing Yet, got to number 9, so we were in the top 10, and we were suddenly Capital Radio DJs performing on Top of the Pops, being introduced by Radio 1 DJs who were sneering at us. So it was quite fun to be pop stars once a year. And we did have a few hits, and we had an album, and one of our records was a hit in America. It was a hot shot debut in the Billboard Hot 100, 1 week above Phil Collins and Sting. So there you go. Eat your heart out, boys. Luckily for me, being involved in so many retro festivals and events, nostalgia is still fantastic. People absolutely love it. There's not a weekend that doesn't go by where I'm not doing some nostalgic gig where people are turning up dressed as me. I've got people, literally last weekend, there's guys wearing mullets, there's Pat Sharp t-shirts, and they love wearing the masks as well. They actually wear masks. They buy these masks from a picture of you, and they put it on, and then they turn up being you, and you have a picture done with like 10 yous, which is really weird, and that's not sheep, but literally it's weird. And I'm sitting there with a load of me's going, oh, it's you. So nostalgia is great, and people just love, people of a certain age now who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s. They love even bringing their kids to the festivals, and their kids dress up and wear big shoulder pads and brightly coloured things, and it happens all over the world. When I do snow bombing in Austria, when I play for expats in Oman or Dubai and Bahrain and Abu Dhabi, and then obviously at Butlins and whatever, they're just literally let's rock all the festivals. Everybody wants to dress up, be colourful, and reminisce about the 80s and 90s for that matter. I would say that when I'm booked to play a DJ set, I'm bringing a completely different style, because I'm using a lot of microphone technique and a real party atmosphere. There's nothing in my set that isn't fun. It does what it says on the tin. I'm the guy from Funhouse, and I'm here to rerun the fun. And it's retro, and it's fun, and it's a good party. I think I do it in quite a unique way as well, because I base my set around the way I used to base my radio shows. So I'm very careful as to where I talk when the songs are playing. So I will hit all the bridges and all the gaps and all the sections as I would have done on the radio, rather than just talking straight over a song going, oh, here we go, like that. And it's clear when I speak, people can hear what I'm saying, and it's at the right point to enable the crowd to then build with the atmosphere of the song. And the songs I play, I think, are quite unique as well. I appreciate most people could come and see my set and then copy it. But I stick things into my set that people just go, wow, I love that version. I love that, that song. It's different versions, different songs that wouldn't always be guaranteed in a retro DJ set. So it's based around personality. I do so many different types of shows. I would say I mostly do DJ sets, and then I do a DJ set mixed in with a corporate event. So I might do an award ceremony, or I might do something where I'm introducing various different acts who would be from the past. Generally, I have to say, they're generally retro events. But if I combine hosting and a corporate event with a DJ set, and indeed a band who I'm introducing and everything, and stuff on stage where I might be holding something together and linking things together as well, that's generally what I'm doing with the corporate event side of things. So I'm quite diverse in what I can do, and indeed what I like doing, because I feel very comfortable that I can go on without a script or without cue cards and generally just be me. I've got enough stories to tell, even after dinner speaking and stuff as well is fun to look back. Q&As I quite like as well, where people give me questions. Recently, I was on a large ship, the Royal Caribbean Navigator of the Seas, and it was a throwback festival, it was called, and it was with the Human League and OMD and Jason Donovan and Erasure and bands like that. And I did Q&A sessions with the bands where there'd be a big auditorium, and I would sit down with the bands, and obviously the fans of the groups would be there to see the groups, not me, but they were up close and personal, as close as we are now, with their acts and the bands who they've loved for many years. When I'm doing a DJ set, generally I'm booked for the DJ set to be retro, often 80s, sometimes 90s, but pretty much retro. But I always say to the person, if I chuck in a couple of Beyonce, Rihanna type tunes, or whoever's even more current, then is that okay? And they say, well, yeah, just play it by ear and see how it goes. And I find that really does break it up. But if it's a 100% retro event where they want 100% retro, I'll be going in playing the stuff from the decade that they want, because that's what they want. I did a 90s show the other day, I played all 90s. I did an 80s show the week before, I played all 80s. But if you feel and you judge the audience in front of you on the night, you don't go in with just those set of songs that you're going to play in a list. I never have a list. I go in and I use CDs still, so I move things around and I have a look at that one and think, oh wow, I didn't know that CD with me. Yeah, that's great, I'll stick that on, that'll work really well here. But it's not working in a mixing point of view. It will still flow, but it flows with my voice. There's very few songs at a DJ set that I don't interact between. I played for Ant Dec. They asked me to DJ at their 40th, their joint 40th. So I played at Ant Dec's 80th, and that was fun. I also played, this is a weird one, you remember the song The Final Countdown by Europe? I got booked to play for the lead singer's wife's 40th, Joey Tempest, his wife. And this is the best thing, he gave me a playlist saying, these are my wife's songs, these are the ones I want you to play. And I went, well, you're paying me a reasonable amount of money, why don't you just leave it to me and I'll do what I do, because that's what I do. And he said, no, she wants these. And they were like, We Don't Need Another Hero by Tina Turner. And it was like people were just standing there going, we don't need another hero. I said, I'm really going to put on, Hermes House Band doing Country Roads in a minute, and it's all going to kick off going, la, 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 hey, hey, na, 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 hey. He goes, oh, no, stick to the playlist. So if you want to book me, please don't give me a playlist. Let me do what I do. I played at the O2, and I've played, I was support for Bros, and I've supported Nile Rodgers on his summer tour last summer. And I was warm up for Rita Ora at the Jersey Weekender on stage there. And even way back before, I was doing nostalgic retro gigs, because this is when nostalgic retro didn't exist for me, because it was now. Back in 1989, again for Bros, which is why I was asked to do their show when they returned to the O2. I played and did my radio show and played a set from the stage of Wembley Stadium too. So that was cool.